Good morning on a snowy Wednesday morning. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. Right now, let's go to the phone lines and have a Pledge of Allegiance person. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
You're it, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'd love to do it.
I can't imagine you saying no. There you go, nice and loud.
All right, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Attaboy, Wheels. Good job. And by the way, real quick note, thank you, your grandmother, and all the people that were at Lunch Bunch yesterday. Thank you very much for attending.
You're welcome.
All right, buddy. Hey, we got a lot of things to do, and first and foremost is the weather, and that's on a lot of people's minds this morning. And Cheney Flooring and Home Design brings us the weather at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. I'm telling you, they've got all your carpet and flooring. And by the way, what a great Christmas gift for your spouse. Go on down and get a gift card for new carpet and or flooring at Cheney Flooring and Home Design. 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, up 678-6945. Here now is Gina with our weather.
Here's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are in a winter storm warning. It's in effect until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Now, snow is, of course, a factor for today. We could get anywhere from 1 to 8 inches of snow, just depending on where you're at in the Magic Valley. Going to be a little bit on the windy side as well. High of 33 for today. Tonight, low of 21. Tomorrow, morning snow showers, giving way to partly cloudy skies later on in the afternoon. Expect a high of 28 with an overnight low of 10. For Friday, sunny and 25 with an overnight low of 8. And then for the weekend, looks like partly cloudy skies. Highs are going to be in the mid-20s, lows in the single digits. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Woo! Wow! Merry Christmas right after Thanksgiving, my goodness. And the weather brought to you this morning by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Yep, you know it. Look for the blue door. Hey, by the way, real quick note, Burley Livestock Sale Yard, no sale tomorrow on Thanksgiving. The next regular sale will be next Thursday, December 3rd, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Merv May, Cade Rogge, and Lance Udy, all wishing you a very happy Thanksgiving. Oh my, we got a lot of things to talk about. First and foremost this morning, I want to say thank you to Denny's. Yesterday we had our lunch bunch on an odd day. Normally we do it on Thursdays, but we did it yesterday on Tuesday. We had an outstanding gathering. Thomas, Terry, the whole crew at Denny's, so nice, and the food so good, and we had a lot of fun too. We had a lot of neat door prizes and everything. Thank you. Stop in and enjoy the great menu choices at Denny's, 611 Overland in Burley, and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. And now, put it on your calendar, December 16th, we're going to have a Denny's Old Fashioned Merry Christmas. I'm going to be doing my program over there live and direct from 8 to 11. Specials on the menu, carolers, Santa Claus, door prizes. Don't miss it at Denny's. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We, thanks to Wheels over at our main studio, we're going to be trying in just a minute to get a very special person on the air for a real quick happy Thanksgiving greeting. And he's going to let me know if he gets this gentleman hooked up on the telephone this morning. So we're just waiting for that. Thank you very much. While I'm waiting to get the nod from over at the main studio with Wheels, I want to remind you, too, about Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They open the doors at 7:30 in the morning, all the way till 5 in the afternoon, Monday through Friday. And they say, come on in. We've got all your heating and electrical needs. We've got it all for you. And if you call ahead at 678-0459, they'll have your order waiting on the counter. Really good, folks. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Let me check over with Wheels. Wheels, have you tried to get him on the phone yet?
I'm getting him on right now.
All right, buddy. Just break in and let me know when you get him, okay?
Will do.
All right, buddy. Once again, thank you. We have a very special birthday in the audience today. My neighbor, and he's on the front page of the Times News this morning with a headline, and his sister wrote it, Michelle Matthews, Rocky Matthews, and his lovely wife, Becca, and the headline is Living with Turkeys. And my question to her this morning was, when I called her, I said, was that a reference to the birds or living with turkeys because you're next door to Rocky? She didn't have a good answer for that. It's Rocky's birthday today, and greatest neighbor in the world. Can't find a better neighbor than old Rocky. And we wish him a very happy birthday, and he's now in the antique status. Yeah, he's getting to be an old codger. Might put his face up on Mount Rushmore, never know. But anyhow, that's his birthday today, and we wish him well. Let's check with Wheels and see if we've got our special guest on the phone.
I'm not. It just keeps ringing, but I'm going to try the other number and see if that will work.
All right. Well, you just keep plugging away, and like I said, interrupt any time, and we'll get him on the air, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, my friend. All right. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to extend to you and yours, and I'll be saying this probably again during the program this morning, a very happy Thanksgiving. You know, we never know how many Thanksgivings or Christmases or 4th of Julys the good Lord's going to let us celebrate. So I say to you and yours, enjoy your gatherings, enjoy the food, and just enjoy your day tomorrow, but be careful out there. Now, travel conditions today are probably not going to be the best, and I urge you to leave with extra time. I urge you to be very cautious, and please drive carefully, but be wise in your choices out there on this Thanksgiving Day weekend, okay? I want you all back here bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, okay? Take care. God bless you. I want to remind you, too, about our friends at Minnecasia Sales with Zach. We're going to try, if I don't get it done next week, we're going to do it in the next week. We're going to try to get Zach on the program with us, along with Dr. History. Minnecasia Sales sponsoring Dr. History on Tuesdays at 10:06, and they're located at 1321 East Main Street in Burley. Now, if you haven't upgraded your windows, now's the time right now as we go into winter to think about that. They've got those Western windows that will really save on your heating bills this winter. And all your lumber, your Tartar Farm and Ranch gates and panels, everything right there. Boy, they've got an inventory at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley. You stop in or give them a call today. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Happy Thanksgiving, Mr. Bell.
Well, thank you, and the same to you and your family, and I hope you have a blessed day tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Well, I just wanted to get your program started this morning on two things. Number one, I was watching TV this morning.
Yes.
And they had a thing on that this year there have been like 470 white people shot by the police, and like 250 African Americans. Mm-hmm. But I have yet to hear of a discrimination suit from a white person on being shot by the police. So why is it that all the African Americans, when they get shot by the police, and it's half the number of the whites, it's always a discrimination issue?
Let me just say and be very blunt about this. I know what you're referring to, and let's be fair and honest on this, okay? Number one, there was a 17-year-old black boy that was shot as he went down the middle of the freeway in Chicago, and this happened over a year ago, and it was a heinous crime by the cop. He did not have to shoot that black boy 16 times. The boy was 17 years of age. And it just showed that this cop was incompetent, and I believe charges should and will be brought up, and he will spend probably life in prison. That being said, I am absolutely appalled, like you are, that the black leadership in this country is marching Black Lives Matter. Nobody else seems to. And they're going out asking for special privileges. They're going out asking for special rights. They're going out asking for special housing and special financing and everything. And, you know, I've reached a point in my life that I will not, you've heard me say this on the air before, I will never refer to them as African Americans or another group of maybe Spanish or Mexican Americans. I don't believe in that. We're all Americans, and we're all under the same umbrella of the United States Constitution. And I think people need to be treated fairly and not just on skin color alone.
And I totally agree with you, and I appreciate that answer. The other thing I'm calling in about is I don't know if anybody else is bothered by this like I am, but there's an article in the Twin Falls paper this morning. Just several months ago, the Cassia County School District had a committee get together and decided all this stuff. And they presented us, they came back with us with a $37 million bond to take care of all these projects they wanted to do, which was passed. Well, now, this morning we come to find out they're $15 million short of what they had, what they need.
I can address that.
Where did the incompetency of figuring this stuff out come in? Because now they're going to sit there and they want to beg us all for another $15 million for some stupidity from somewhere that should have never have happened in the first place.
All right, let me address this, and I want you to know up front that I have been in contact with the superintendent of schools, Galen Smyer, and I'm going to say this, and I hope you'll understand. Number one, the school board, the Cassia County School Board and Executive Committee has been just absolutely distraught and sick about this because of the man, and I'm going to simplify the language, the gentleman and organization that studied the figures and gave them the figures, quite frankly, made a huge mistake. That is not a reflection on the Cassia County schools and their superintendent by any means. Secondly, they are so upset about it that I'm very appreciative from a broadcaster's point of view that they were open and forthright about the problem and they're letting everybody know what happens. As a matter of fact, I was on the telephone this morning with Superintendent of Schools, Galen Smyer. He is going to address the issue on my program next Monday at 10:30 so that he can take your concerns and your calls and we can discuss it. Then, when basically the bottom lines are figured out as to where they are and what they're going to do, they're going to come back on the program in the next couple of weeks and we're going to discuss it again in its entirety. I can't be any more open and honest than that, sir.
Well, no, I appreciate that. I just, like I say, it just upsets me, though, that, you know, okay, if this guy that school district hired made that big mistake for $15 million, I guess my two questions are this. Number one, shouldn't he be charged with some kind of criminal negligence? Or number two is, why didn't the school district have somebody double-checking the facts?
You know, right there again, and I hope you understand where I'm coming from. Your questions are speculative to the point where there's not any right now concrete answers. And for me to give an answer to a problem, to answer a problem, I can't do that. But I will tell you this, according to what the newspaper had as an inference, the school district is looking into a possible litigation against said individual, and I think for the saneness of the situation, to make sure we get the right answers and we don't have to keep doubling up our tracks, let's wait till Monday when we have Superintendent of Schools Smyers on, and then we'll let Galen address this with me on the air. How's that?
No, I appreciate that, and I wasn't trying to put you in a situation that I wanted you to, come out and give an opinion or anything. I just wanted to, let my opinion be known.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That as a concerned citizen and as a member of Cassia County, and I've got grandkids and everything going to school, it just really bothers me that this happened, and that and that, now in order to finish these projects, it almost looks like that we're going to have to dig deep into our pockets again. And it just bothers me that this happened, and I just wanted to bring it up.
Now, I want to tell you something. I really appreciate
your show. That they could think about this, and
Yep.
they may have concerns also.
Absolutely. That's what I like about you and other callers to this program, the honesty and the openness. And I will guarantee you, and I'm making a promise to you and all the listeners, that I will do my best to provide the insight and the interviews so that you get the answers to your questions and you get a chance to ask your questions. I promise you that. But at this juncture, I hope you can appreciate I don't really want to get into it without having all the facts.
No, I totally appreciate that. I just appreciate you letting me, air my concerns. And one other thing before I hang up, I called you the other day about this video, from Burley High School.
Yes.
Okay, well, I did some research on that after I called you, and I actually went online and looked at the rules and stuff of the competition, and it said in there, it said that of the $100,000 prize, 22% or $22,000 of it had to be given to the department that did the video,
Right.
to update their safety and so forth.
Right.
That the other 78% could be used by the school according to what they saw fit to, repair or buy supplies or whatever.
Right.
So I thought, maybe that department should be given all that. But after reading everything, I did clarify that, and I wanted to clarify that on your
And,
show.
that's what I like about you and many of the listeners. If you have questions, let's get the information first, and then let's open up the trap door and let everything kind of fall to the bottom and pilfer through it. I've made it a point on this program, and I appreciate you bringing this up. I've made it a point on this program that when we condemn or damn or speculate without having all the information, it's going to really cause more problems for all of us in the future. And that's why I'm very careful about the information I put on the air. You, sir, did a great job, and I appreciate that. And happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Hey, well, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and believe me, next Monday at 10:30, I will definitely be listening to the show.
All right, sir. God bless. Have a good one. Thank you very much.
You have a great one, man. Appreciate everything.
I appreciate that. Thank you. God bless. I've got to pay some bills here real quick, and I want to tell everybody about Colonel Dale at the Book Plaza at 222 West 11th Street in Burley. This man, Colonel Dale, we're blessed to have him. We're blessed to know him, and we're blessed to have his business here. The Book Plaza at 222 West 11th Street in Burley. All the books, thousands and thousands of books. How would you like to be the person that they hire and say, go count all the books? Holy buckets, what a job. And they've got all the gifts for your gift-giving, jewelry, everything right there at the Book Plaza. And Colonel Dale and his crew wishing you a very happy Thanksgiving. By the way, too, don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Number to call, 678-1191. The slogan and motto is, and it's very, very honest and forthright, helping you get back to being you. All their physical therapists really know all the exercises and the sports medicine, and they've got the hydrotherapy pool there with the treadmill in the bottom, the only one in the area. My goodness, this is good for you to go there. Make an appointment today at 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Wonderful people. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. In the next couple of minutes, I'm going to tell you that my honest appraisal of Barack Hussein Obama is that he is a man that is now mentally unstable. I mean this. I said yesterday I thought that there should be removal of his presidency. I'll stand behind that. I think he should be either asked to step down or he should be impeached. He is not of the right mind to be a president and leader of this country. And to all the Democrats out there that really backed this man from the get-go, and when I came out on the radio back in 2007 and said, no, I don't want this man as president, there's too many things with his ideology and his background that I don't trust and I absolutely am afraid of, they laughed at me and then they mocked me and then they called me a racist. And to those Democrats this morning that live right here in this area, shame on you for backing such a buffoon. Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you that right now the world is in turmoil. And I, for one, tomorrow morning on Thanksgiving Day, before I do anything to partake of a wonderful meal or family or whatever, I'm going to get down on my knees and pray to the good Lord above that somehow sanity and common sense can be restored in this country. It is not going to be restored with the leadership that we have now. And I'll tell you why quickly. When you have a so-called leader standing up in front of TV cameras and stating that climate change is the biggest threat to the world today, and how proud he is that he's going to be meeting in Paris with 150 leaders of various countries to basically subject the terrorists to climate change, it's insane. This man is insane. Terrorism, death, mutilation, bombing is going on right now as we speak. And this lack of leadership is stating that climate change is the number one threat to you and me. And I mean this when I say this. God help us. Your calls are appreciated. Excuse me, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587.
Zeb?
Yes.
Do we have another number for our special guest?
You know what, Wheels? I will ask Deanne if she has another number. I appreciate your diligence on this, but we'll see if we can't find one, and we'll email it to you right away. How's that?
That sounds good, because I don't know if it might be their end or what, because I'm just not getting anything.
Okay, well, I'll check with Deanne. Thank you so much, Wheels, and we'll do due diligence on our part and try to find another number.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Don't forget Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and, of course, Dr. Christine Pickup. And she and her staff want to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. They're located right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room, and the number to call for a hearing screening, and I urge you to do this. Do it now between the holidays of Thanksgiving and Christmas so that you can be ready for Christmas and you can hear all the kids, around the Christmas tree. Oh, my goodness, yes. Take care of it today, and if you are having a hearing problem, it can be addressed and you can be helped. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Please call that number today. Really good folks. Oh, by the way, somebody else, too, that wants to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. Sophie's Chatterbox. Every Monday we give away a half dozen cinnamon rolls, and they are good. Great, big, gooey, and warm, and juicy. Oh, I love them. Cinnamon rolls from Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street on the Square in Rupert, and they wish you and yours a very happy Thanksgiving. It's your turn. Give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. For President Obama to stand up yesterday, let's back up a couple squares. What good did it do French President Hollande to come to this country and recognize that they, Paris, France in general, and the European nations are under the threat of huge terroristic attacks? The man came here to ask for more support. The man came here to ask Obama as president of the free world, basically the leader of the free world, to get more involved and help stomp out these deadly terrorists. What did he get? Nothing. Obama is going to stay the course. He didn't give or promise anything to French President Hollande. And so now, the President of France will meet with Putin of Russia. And I said a couple of weeks ago on this program that one of my biggest concerns was that the allegiance and the alliances that Obama is chasing away from this country, they're going to the likes of Putin and Russia. The terrorists are laughing at us. And with this complete idiocy that we're showing about our president standing up and saying that the 150 world leaders are going to meet in Paris and discuss climate change, and that is a powerful rebuke to terrorists. Those are the president's words, not mine. A powerful rebuke to terrorists? That's a comedy line. It's laughable. And everybody is laughing at us and this president. Do you realize that less than 3% of Americans, are at all worried about climate change? But then on the other side of the scale, oh my goodness, are we becoming more fearful every day about terrorism? And rightfully so. I just do not understand how we can look at this man on television or listen to him on the radio and think that he's not mentally deficient when he sits there and says the biggest fear is climate change. This man is void of any real substantial gray matter between the ears. And it is absolutely no wonder why the world is laughing at us. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me your opinion. Come on, don't be lax. Give me a call. Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. All you have to do is call Ramsey's at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. Get a hold of them today. Excuse me for the cough. A little bit of a cold I've had for a couple of days. Pardon me, I got to take a drink of water. Water time. Much better. Thank you very much. I want to remind you, too, about my friends at Quali's Electronics at 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Great big savings right now. You don't have to wait for Black Friday. No, get in there today. My goodness sakes, listen to this. Crazy low prices like Samsung 40-inch LED for just $279. $279. Yep, that's right. And how about this? Save $170 on Samsung 55-inch smart TV, only $579. Right now, you don't have to wait for Black Friday and all the masses. Get in there today at Quali's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Really good folks. Man, I'm surprised there are not more people calling. You can't really blame it on the turkey. Hopefully you haven't ate all the turkey yet. So give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, we're talking about terror across the water in Europe. And the way this thing is shaking out in Paris with the threat of another terror attack, and what's happening in Brussels, the city has closed down for over 3 days. The economic factors are just stunning. They're going broke. Why? Because of a 4-letter word, fear. They are scared to death, and possibly rightfully so. There have been so many reports, so many terror threat alerts. The hotels are shut down. The whole inner city is shut down. It is, in the words of a broadcaster, a complete ghost town. And they don't know what to do. And there again, it goes back to the world leaders and especially our president. People are looking to us for leadership. They're looking to us as to, hey, tell us what to do. We'll jump on board and we will support anything and everything. And Obama is concerned about climate change. I don't know. I shake my head and I just don't understand. Calls welcome. Come on, give me a jingle. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yeah, speaking of climate change, as I look out the window this morning, this is November the 25th. About this time, Thanksgiving is tomorrow. About this time, we get snow. About this time, we have colder temperatures. And our president is more worried about climate change. Ridiculous. Berry Equipment and Rental with 3 locations, and they at every location have the equipment to get the job done right. Give them a call, stop in. Eli, Nick, the whole crew, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln in Jerome, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Oh man, that Burley location, just drive by and look at that. I don't know, like I've said before, who's responsible for parking all the equipment and the machinery, but man, they do a good job. They just cram it in there. Man, they've got all the Bobcat skid steer loaders. They've got all the Doosan loaders. They've got everything over there you need at Berry Equipment and Rental. Stop in today. Addison Avenue West, Twin Falls, South Lincoln, Jerome, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. And they wish you and yours a very happy Thanksgiving. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, you were just talking about Barack Hussein. And I say that you need to think about during World War II and Hitler, and everybody was all inspired and ready to go, and they were loyal to the Fuhrer. And as time went on, things began to break down, and people were wondering, what have we created? What have we allowed? And you see, I don't know if you compare Hitler to Obama. I don't know, but as far as destruction, we're not where they were because, but let's face it, the destruction this man has done to this country, we have forgotten more than we remember in the last 7 years. It is just that the carnage is just immeasurable. And you say to yourself, please help us, people, to somehow get a handle on this. Because I was reading this morning about what Bill Clinton did as he left office, and he put, land under national monuments, and the article had said he steamrolled the people that lived there. See, what this guy can do from here to the end is,
Randy, he's got 421 days left in his administration. And my fears are these. Economically, he's going to take us into the 20 trillion deficits. He is on an economical fashion. He's going to take us down even lower than we've ever been before as far as owing the company store. Environmentally, he's going to destroy our energy. He is trying to bring up green energy, which is going to be the lowering of our standards in this country and possibly turn us into a third world country. And as far as security is concerned, I don't know about you, sir, but I am very, very concerned about going out my front door as to the danger zones that have been created because of a lack of leadership by this administration.
Well, this is the thing. There's 900 investigations going on across this nation for terrorists. And the amount of terrorists that have been trying to get in across this border just in the last week or two And you say to yourself, well, okay, there's an investigation going on in Idaho right now. We don't know where it is. Is it in Twin? Is it in Boise? Is it Pocatello, Idaho Falls? I don't know. What could it be? You see, and if they manage to get something done, what poor soul, what poor family? Who decides who gets hurt?
Yeah.
Who decides who gets killed?
Let's just hope and pray, Randy, and I mean this. I've got to get to the weather, but I want to say this.
Yeah.
Let's just hope and pray, and I'm not kidding. Get down on your knees, America, and pray, not only for better and more substantial leadership, but also for some sanity and common sense in this world. Randy, God bless you, and Merry Christmas. Happy Thanksgiving, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, safe Thanksgiving. See ya.
God bless. Thank you. By the way, I want to remind you, too, that your health is so important. You want to work with the best, and they really care at Minidoka Memorial Hospital, 1224 8th Street in Rupert. The purpose of Minidoka Memorial Hospital is to provide and promote high-quality, compassionate primary health care services and health education to the residents and visitors of the Mini-Cassia region, and they do that. Wonderful people serving you. Call the general information number at 436-0481. Minidoka Memorial Hospital in Rupert, wishing you and yours a very happy Thanksgiving. Right now, we are going to do the weather, and the weather is brought to you by, and then I'll take some more of your calls. I really want your calls. Weather is brought to you this hour by Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert, and Saturday, this coming Saturday, they're going to have that Small Business Saturday, and they're going to have all kinds of great things. They're extending the hours on Saturday from 10 to 6, and prizes, and door prizes, and sweet treats, and free. You might win a bunch of custom T-shirts. You might win some Christmas aprons. You better get on in there. Super wonderful people at Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. Big deal on this coming Saturday. Don't you miss it. Here's the lovely Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are in a winter storm warning. It's in effect until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Now, snow is, of course, a factor for today. We could get anywhere from 1 to 8 inches of snow, just depending on where you're at in the Magic Valley. Going to be a little bit on the windy side as well. High of 33 for today. Tonight, low of 21. Tomorrow, morning snow showers, giving way to partly cloudy skies later on in the afternoon. Expect a high of 28 with an overnight low of 10. For Friday, sunny and 25 with an overnight low of 8. And then for the weekend, looks like partly cloudy skies. Highs are going to be in the mid-20s, lows in the single digits. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina, thank you very much, and welcome and thank you to our weather brought to you by Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You have heard me on this program talk about Snake River Auto Body Incorporated in Twin, and I am very, very adamant that they are the best. Somebody decided here about 6-7 months ago to put a great big ding in the side of my pickup truck, and I'm very fussy about my vehicles, and I called Snake River Auto Body, and believe me, I'm so happy I did. Satisfaction guaranteed, and it was. I am tickled. Quality workmanship, they did a wonderful job, and they can do the same for you. They've got 5 estimators and direct repairs. I'll tell you what, they work with all the insurance companies. They are the best. Write this number down, 734-5790. Snake River Auto Body, located at 404 4th Avenue West in Twin Falls. Really good people. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Hey, if I may vent for just a minute, it's very frustrating to me as a citizen of this United States, not only of Idaho, that we can't do anything. You know, they tell us, well, there's investigating possible terrorists in Idaho. Well, that's fine and dandy, but don't you think we ought to be able to know more? Don't you think the public ought to be able to know a little bit more so we can look out, keep an eye open, be encouraged to, like World War II, you know? I was told stories about World War II how if you see anything suspicious, not necessarily spy on your neighbor, but if you see anything out of the ordinary, report it.
Right.
It saves lives, you know.
Right.
Air raids. I heard about air raids along the coasts and lights out. You know, that whole drill. Whatever happened to the community spirit that we used to have way back then? I mean, that area here has it now. But
let me, if I may, caller, comment on that on the air. You bring up an excellent point this morning, and I think I've got somewhat of an answer to your dilemma. I'll do that on the air, and by the way, to you and your family, happy Thanksgiving.
as well to you and Diane.
All right, thank you. I think in answer to this question, what happened, I think it's the news media. I point my finger at my own colleagues in the news media. I've been involved in the radio business since 1969. I'm pointing my fingers directly at a lack of honest news, a lack of honest appraisal for the news, and a lack of decent, honest journalism. And that's what's going on in this country. Journalism today, and or lumping it together into the word news, is nothing more than an arm for the liberal left. And if you question that or want to meet me on this issue and talk more about it, feel free to do so, because now they are totally in bed with the left organizations and this administration. And we're not going to get a fair appraisal of what's going on. We're not going to be told in a free country, supposedly by a free press, what really is happening. Let me give you an example. There are over 83 mosques in the United States right now that are on watch lists of the FBI and Homeland Security. Why? Because they're finding out that many of them have been plotting and planning jihad against you and I here in America. 83 mosques. Now, we're not talking about a Presbyterian church. We're not talking about a Lutheran church. We're not talking about Mormons. We're not talking about Catholics. We're talking about 83 mosques that are under scrutiny right now because of jihadi activities going on between the walls. Some of them are right here in the Northwest. Some of them are right next to you and I. And the scrutiny and the investigations should be done. Because like Martin Moyer had a book, and he's been on my program, called Twilight in America. And the whole book is designed to educate you and me about the terror training grounds, the terror locations, the terrorist mosques here in America. And I'm sick and tired of politicians, especially this administration, trying to whitewash this situation. Now, whether you like Trump or not, I don't care. But when he stuck his neck out the other day, and he did, and said that if he becomes president, he's really going to start investigating on a much more serious nature what goes on with the mosques in this country. Oh, he took a lot of clamor and beating the drums against him. The liberal left was absolutely calling him insane. The newspapers and the media and the television and everything were downplaying him and downgrading him. He's right. The people that are in this country right now, whether legally or illegally, that are plotting to kill you and me and mayhem to this United States of America, should be uprooted, and they should be either jailed or even worse. Your thoughts, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I do apologize for this raspy throat this morning. Thank you very much for your patience on that. It's just, hopefully it'll stay together for the next 2 hours. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations. And you know my prediction was right yesterday. I'm telling you what, I drove by a couple of the locations and, man, it was busy. To use the term busy was a misnomer. They were running all over the place, and you could hear those air wrenches. They were changing tires just as fast as they could. People were getting ready for the snow that is hitting us right now. And the best place to go for traction tires, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all the traction tread tires, all the studded tires, all the snow wheels. Oh, yes. All the traction tires you need for safe wintertime driving. And don't forget, they got the best brake value promise in the industry, the best front end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries. Did you hear that Gina said on the weather it's going to only be for a high up into the 20s towards Friday? Well, when you turn the key on that four-wheeled wonder, you better make sure you got a good battery. They've got them all right there with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wishing you a very happy Thanksgiving. Your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, by the way, in a related story, yesterday we told you about Ahmed the clock boy. You know, the kid from Texas that built a clock that honestly looked like a bomb. And he took it to school. And the school authorities did what you and I and everybody should do. See something, say something. This clock, with all of its wires hanging out and basically looking like a bomb, scared a lot of people at that school in Texas, and rightfully so. They called the authorities, and to make a long story short, Ahmed the clock boy was cleared, but now Ahmed the clock boy, Obama's dearest friend, Obama's trying to get him to go to MIT and all these other schools. Ahmed the clock boy left this country and now lives over in Qatar. Oh, but the story as of yesterday changed. Ahmed the clock boy is going to sue the school and the administration for a paltry sum of $15 million. But now here's my question. If we are told to see something, say something, and we're being really told by Homeland Security and the FBI and everybody else, see something, say something, stop terrorism. These people at this school did nothing wrong. They did everything right. Any judge with any kind of sanity will look at this lawsuit and tell Ahmed, the clock boy, to go feed his camels. This lawsuit should be thrown completely out. The fear and the safety concerns for the students, the teachers, and the community should reign prevalent over this. And Ahmed the clock boy should just stay in Qatar and shut up. Okay. You've been listening to Zeb at the Ranch for this first hour, and make sure you're hearing everything. Be sure and contact Mount Harrison Audiology for a hearing screening. Call them today at 312-0957. We were going to try to get a hold of Russell Smith up at the VA in Pocatello and wish him a very happy Thanksgiving. I absolutely don't have time in the next 2 hours to make that call, but I will do one better. I'll try to get him on the air next week, and then we can start wishing him Merry Christmas. Excuse me, but anyway, it was brought up by Jerry Voss yesterday. God bless Jerry for saying that. And Jerry, I will do my best to get him on the air next week. We're going to take a little break right now and listen to the big boys at CBS when they come in to mess everything up. We'll be back in 6. Zeb at the Ranch. Oh, good morning. Wheels has got the music going, and I'll jump in here and say I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with hour number 2 on this day before Thanksgiving. God bless you and your family, and I certainly hope you have a very blessed Thanksgiving Day tomorrow. We're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
They are really, and that's the truth, always at your disposal, whether it's the porta potties or whether it's the route service once a week, and they're so reliable to get your garbage and get it out of there. Locally owned and operated, they've got all the different size dumpsters. I know that I'm making a promise that during the holidays this year, I'm going to clean out this office. I hope. Anyway, be sure and get a hold of them at Western Waste Services. Always at your disposal. Number to call, 734-6969. You know, every day we start the program, and with the weather, brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. These are wonderful people. Kyle and Whitney and their entire staff, carpet, flooring, kitchen construction, home decor, whatever you need to make your house a home. Please get a hold of them today. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Another super nice group of people that want to wish you and yours a happy Thanksgiving, and that's, of course, the family and staff over at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, the number one man over there, and I say to him and his folks, God bless you. Wonderful people really serving the community. And you know, when I say serving, when there's the passing of a loved one, they are always there. It doesn't make any difference if they have to travel to rural towns and churches. They will be there to help you with the arrangements, always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Please call them today, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, waiting to serve you. Right now, oh my goodness, on the telephone, here he is from Indianapolis, Indiana. And maybe he's in the snow like we are this morning. Good morning, Dave Beagle. Happy Thanksgiving.
Well, good morning, Zeb. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your staff and your wife and all your listeners.
God bless you, my dear friend. And you've been on this program for a long time, and we really appreciate your insight on quite a few things. I see that you have something adorning the table in your office.
Yeah, you know, I got a mysterious package today with a couple bottles of wine, crackers, and some other stuff in it. And then I went and looked at who it was from, and it was from yours truly. Thank you.
You are very welcome, but you know, the W-H-I-N-E asking for the W-I-N-E finally came through, didn't it?
Yes, it did. I appreciate it, and I'll be enjoying it this weekend, I'm sure.
Oh, God bless you. Hey, Dave, let's get really serious here for a moment. My goodness, crime is everywhere. It's prevalent in every state, every town, every municipality, and you, back there in Indianapolis, have just gone through a terrible murder of a minister's wife and burglaries. What is going on back there?
Well, you know, it's, Zeb, I think it's what's going on in this country is all a result of this president that we have and what his agenda is, and the people that put him in office, like the SEIU, is that they fundamentally, as he said when he had his first inaugural speech, that he wants to fundamentally change this country. And they're just trying to divide and conquer us, and they are good about going out and getting these people stirred up and going out and doing things. And of course, with the open borders and drugs and guns coming across, you know, it's all part of this scheme to fundamentally change this country, and I think bring it down. And I know some high-level Indianapolis Police Department people here, and they said a big part of this is the drugs. They're so much more rampant than they were 6-7 years ago, and all these crimes, 90% of them are drug-related. And then you look at Chicago with what's going on up there. You have to believe that you've got some of these groups like the SEIU who's involved in Ferguson and Baltimore and New York are getting these people out and get them all riled up. And it's time for America to stand up. And I've told congressmen, I saw one here in my office a couple of weeks ago, that we need to impeach this president. And I see Paul Holbrook came out with an article on that where he agrees that we need to impeach him. And if Congress and the Republicans don't have the backbone, that the military leaders need to go to the president's office and say, we're not going to support you, you need to step down.
Dave, yesterday, it's amazing that you mentioned this, but yesterday on my program, I asked for, and I mean it, the resignation of this man. I honestly will say this, with the comments that he's made, and the positions that he's taken, and the hardship that he's caused around the world with our allies and also our military members around the world, I think the man is mentally unstable, especially when he makes remarks like he did yesterday, that by going to a climate change gathering of 150 leaders, it will be a powerful rebuke against terrorism. Dave, the man is not well.
Well, I'm sure that's part of it, Zeb, and but it's a part of his upbringing and everything. And again, it goes back to being part of his agenda. He does not really care about this country, and he's one of those that believes in a world government, and that everything should be the same for everybody, because these people are so narcissistic that they believe this. That if they do all this, they can control everybody because they're smarter than the rest of us, Zeb. And the only way you can stop people like this is to step up, look them in the eye, and punch them in the nose, because they're bullies. That's what they are.
Yep.
And he was trained by the SEIU, and he's admitted that. And that's exactly what they do. And of course, all the other people and the Muslim upbringing in his life, that's what these people do. And we got to get him out of office.
Dave, there's still, according to my calculations, 421 days left of this administration. I don't think, honestly, and I'm saying this from my heart because I'm very concerned for my family, my friends like you and others. I don't think this United States and the world situations can absorb another 421 days of nothingness with what supposedly is a world leader and a man that's supposed to lead and be a beacon to the rest of the world. We've got to do something, and it's got to happen now, and there's got to be a toughness. This man can't do it.
No, and in fact, he wants to continue moving ahead and doing nothing, and actually behind the scenes doing things that foster destroying this country, and because he just does not believe in America. I mean, he said that before, and we need everybody to push their lawmakers to go after this guy, has some backbone, and impeach this guy and get him out of office, or encourage the military to confront him and say, we are not going to support you any longer. But American people need to wake up and understand that that's what this is all about before he fundamentally destroys this country.
Absolutely. Dave, there's a story that a lot of people have made fun of, and quite frankly, there are certain portions of it that I made fun of this story, but it's very, very serious. And it's in regards to the Muslim boy Ahmed that made the clock and took it to his school in Texas. And school officials used and utilized see something, say something, because they were very afraid it was a bomb, and rightfully so. They had every right to be worried for the the staff, the children, etc. Now Ahmed the clock boy, after he's been praised by Obama and Obama saying he'd like to get him into MIT, etc., Ahmed the clock boy and his family moved to Qatar, and he this week said, I'm going to sue the school district and the area for $15 million. Why isn't this thrown out of court easily and early? Because absolutely the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security have told all of us, especially now, see something, say something. They did, and I think they should tell Ahmed to go feed his camels.
Well, I'm with you 100%, and Zeb, and I know this sounds like a broken record, but I think this all comes back to what this president is encouraging in this country, and you know, is trying to get people to do, and people that you know, believe in what he's saying and that, and we're just going to see more and more instances like this as the next 9 or 10 months of him being in office, or 13 months of him being in office are going to be like. And you know, that's why we Americans got to stand up and say we're not going to put up with it anymore. And you know, the thing with ISIS, I'm very concerned about our borders being open and people coming across. I mean, there's been many instances here in the past couple of weeks where they've, you know, stopped people at down at the Laredo border, and also in Honduras, and other people trying to get into America, ISIS people, and we have to be afraid what the ultimate goal is.
You know, and here's something else, Dave. I've never met you personally and shook hands with you on a one-to-one basis, but I feel like we're very good friends. We've known each other for a long time. And I know that you're like me. This last week when Obama looked at the TV cameras, and he basically admonished and lectured us, the American citizens, and condemned us for our feelings about these refugees coming in, and basically told us we were wimps and crybabies, worried about mothers and orphans. You know, I was very highly offended by this. And quite frankly, I think the refugee program is going to be one that's going to cause seriousness because of the 25,000 that are going to be going into Canada and then allowed to go anywhere they want to. I think we're going to see our southern borders create more of a problem. This man is not addressing the safety and the sanity of the United States.
No, Zeb, and he doesn't care. I mean, in simple terms, he doesn't care. In fact, you know, he's all for this stuff because, you know, again, the broken record fundamentally changed this country, and whatever it takes, and that includes American lives and you know, attacks on this country, and people just have to understand this. We're at war, and when you're at war, it's very simple. You win at all odds and get it over with, and you eliminate the enemy, and that's where we're at. And you know, my friend Paul Holra, he even wrote this in his article this week, that, you know, that's where we're at right now, and people need to wake up to that fact.
You know, 83 mosques in this United States. 83. Think about that number. All across the United States are on the FBI watch list, and they're being watched by Homeland Security because many, many instances of those 83 mosques, there have been jihadi actions and terrorism preached behind the walls. And my good friend Ryan Morrow with the Clarion Project was on Fox News this morning talking about the dangers of these mosques. And Donald Trump comes out and blatantly says we've got to watch them and we've got to make sure that they're critiqued on what they're doing, and he was onslaught with racist material. Dave, I'm worried about this, what's going on in this country. Some of those mosques are very near me, and you also.
Well, that's exactly right, and you know, it's very concerning, and again, we need the military to step up and understand that part of their job is to protect this country, and they need to make their presence and what they're going to be known, what they will do known, so that we can prevent some of this stuff. And we need to go after these people that are bent on destroying this country. And again, Zeb, we're at war.
We are at war. Now, what would you say? You're back in a very big metropolis area. Are people concerned? Are people wary and afraid? Are people really kind of checking their environment and their surroundings? What has changed back in Indianapolis from the people that you know?
Well, Zeb, people seem not to be overly concerned about it. We don't have a big presence in this particular area. Now up in Detroit you do, and in the Chicago area. And, we have a very conservative governor who, came out against bringing refugees in Indiana.
Right.
And he was just sued by the ACLU, by the way, for doing that. And I think Hoosiers here feel like they're not as much at risk as what other places in the country are at this point.
And I'm glad you brought that up about Mike Pence, because God bless him and 30 other governors, including our governor, Butch Otter, here in the state of Idaho. The more you read, the more you study, Dave, by people in the know, they're saying, wait a minute, it is time to take a pause, because there is no way, underline those words, that these refugees can be vetted, because there's not a data bank, there's no history on these people. We've got to slow down and make sure we're safe first.
Well, that's right. If you look at it, the president's job is to protect America. Number one, that is his first responsibility as president of this country, and he has no desire to do that. And so we need other people in Congress, the Republican Party, and other people to step up and make sure that is fulfilled if he's not going to do that. And I hope your listeners out there, and I know they get tired of hearing this, but please contact your congressmen and senators and everybody and get them on board and get them to go after this president. Absolutely.
We have a caller with a question. Go ahead quickly, caller. You're on the air.
Okay, it wasn't really a question. It was just a statement, and he just mentioned that. Our congressmen and senators are just as guilty as he is, because they could have put a stop to it long ago, but they don't do it. It's incumbents that screw this country over royally.
I appreciate your comment on that, sir, and I want Dave to respond to that. Dave, where is the backbone in politics? And will a backbone and pride in their job ever move to the forefront again? I don't see it.
Well, we're going to have a change in the people, and we have too many people that they're enamored by the life in politics in Washington, and they're afraid if they if they're not politically correct, that they won't get reelected. They offend somebody, and we got to get over this thing about being offended, because the truth is, Zeb, and I think you know this too, is part of being strong and learning and progressing and getting better at things is being tough-minded, that you get past those things that people say about you or do. You can't let them bother you. You got to keep moving ahead and doing the right things and growing as a human being. And people that sit back and are so sensitive like that, we just become a society of people that are at basically do what the government wants us to do.
Absolutely. Final thought here this morning. Later on at about 10:06 on my program, I'm going to have a guest on by the name of Jason Hart with watchdog.org, and he's going to be talking about a teacher in California that's trying to fight the unions and not have the union dues. She doesn't want to belong to it. The SEIU is coming out after her. Trumpka's coming out after her. It's turned into a mess. Tell us, if you know about this story, your thoughts about the SEIU and the unions.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure he's talking about the gal in my book, Zeb, Miriam the Mighty.
Yes.
You should tell him about that. She is the one. She's an immigrant from Egypt, and she saw what the unions did to Egypt in destroying it, and she's afraid of the same thing happening in this country, and her and others out there are tired of the SEIU and what they're doing, and also tired of their money going to politics they don't agree with, and they're going after them. And I think it's a great thing that we have an undercurrent in this country that's waking up.
You know, you have been first hand with the SEIU and the problems they can cause. And when I read these stories and I start hearing about the in-depth perception of what these people are with the unions, I mean, we're talking thugs and punks and bullying. It's a lot more treacherous than what some people think, isn't it?
Well, it is. And, I talk about that in my book, how they came after me and used politicians against me and clergy people and little kids in my neighborhood in Halloween, and how they followed my employees home and intimidated them and all that. And that's what these people do. I mean, they followed me down the streets of Indianapolis trying to intimidate me. And we can't let this happen in this country. And again, I'm going to go back to your listeners, and please listen to this. These are the same people who trained the President of the United States. I have a video of him that's been taken off the internet that he speaks in front of them, says, I was a part of you before I became anything. You trained me, I've worked with you, I've organized with you, and together we're going to paint this country purple. And that's what they're trying to do. And the SEIU has marched in the streets of California with the Communist Party.
Absolutely. Dave, I'm out of time, but I want to extend to you and your family. You've been such a dear friend to this program. The very best of Thanksgiving wishes to you and your family. God bless, and I'll certainly look forward to having you back on next week.
Well, thank you, and you have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, and same to all your listeners.
God bless you, Dave. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Dear friend back in Indianapolis, Indiana, Dave Bego, and the author of The Devil at My Doorstep and The Devil at Our Doorstep, and has a great blog every week that is very poignant and very direct about what's happening in this country. Let's pay some bills, shall we? Oh, goody. Here we go. Let's talk about some friends of ours. Let's ride. I'll bet you they're sitting there smiling like Cheshire cats this morning. They're going, snow! Oh, my goodness, let's head for the hills. They've got all the snowmobiles, and they've got all the snow plows for your four-wheelers. Goober tried to talk me into getting one of those a couple of years ago, and now I wished I'd have listened to her, and I'm going to have to go over and talk to Nick and the rest of the crew. They've got the snow plows for your four-wheelers. Not only can you have fun plowing your driveway, but it's really efficient and does a great job. So check it out. Great prices, low prices on these snow plows for your four-wheelers. They've got all the accessories, and they've got a great service department. What are you waiting for? Stop over today to Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Really nice people wishing you and yours a happy Thanksgiving. I want to also mention, too, if you're over in that neck of the woods, and not really too many trees over there, but it's just a saying. Anyway, if you're over in that neck of the desert, stop over and see Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24, right there going into Rupert. Life insurance and health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. If you got questions, and you're not sure if you're covered, and you're not sure if you've got the package all complete, you'd better talk to the professionals, Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Very accessible and devoted to serving you. Number to call for an appointment, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. You get a hold of them today. Hey, by the by, there's all kinds of things going on over at the bookstore and office supply on the square in Rupert. Oh, my goodness. They're going to have a special sale this Friday, the 27th, from 5 to 9 p.m. on the Rupert Square tree lighting. Oh, my! And they're going to have hot chocolate and treats for sale, and 10% off office supplies, and 35% off on home decor items. Oh, you'd better get over there this Friday night. You better believe it, while they light the trees in Rupert at the bookstore and office supply. Right on the square at 515 5th Street. You be sure and stop over there. And they wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving. Nice people over there. And let's see, talking about nice people, that will lead me up. I'm going to be having my next guest on the program in just a minute. I've got a bunch of emails I got to get out of the way here. There's the picture of Dave Bego's office with my gift that I sent him. Very nice picture. Nice office. Wow, he's got the corner office. Naturally, he's the boss. Anyway, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Want to remind you, too, about Red's Trading Post. Now, you've heard me say this a lot of times on my program, that you are your best line of defense. Yeah, you can call the police, you can call the sheriff's office, but remember, they cannot possibly be all things to all people all the time, right on the time. And I urge you to stop into Red's Trading Post at 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls and check out the wide selection of firearms from Browning, Beretta, Weatherby, Ruger, Benelli, Smith & Wesson, and Winchester. By the way, right there in this ad, I'm going to stop and give a personal note. I had criticism from a nincompoop that said, oh, no, do things properly, call the police. Yeah, I'm not saying not to call the police, but you are the first line of defense, and you better learn how to use a firearm safely. And I urge you to get a hold of Red's Trading Post. Stop in since 1936 in historic Old Town Twin Falls. They know guns. Great customer service at Red's Trading Post in Twin Falls. Okay, I just got a from, let me see who that was from. I got to get it on my phone here. Okay, thank you, Wheels. I appreciate it. That Wheels is so doggone efficient over there. He's doing a great job. We appreciate it. Right now, from watchdog.org, we've got a gentleman on our program by the name of Eric Beam. And Eric's going to tell us more about how the government is just reaching out with open arms to take over more of our lifestyle and tell us what we can do and what we can't do. Good morning, Eric Beam. How are you?
Hey, good morning to you. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Eric, if somebody wants to ride what's called a hoverboard, not back in New York City. What's going on back there?
Yeah, that's right. Hoverboard, I didn't even know these things existed, but apparently it's going to be one of the hot holiday sales items. It's not the hoverboard like you might be picturing from Back to the Future that actually, levitates off the ground. But these things are basically two-wheeled, self-balancing scooters. It sort of looks like a strange cross between a mini Segway and a Razor scooter, but without any handlebars or anything like that. So you just kind of balance on this thing, and it will, drive you wherever you want to go. You can kind of turn by leaning and steer that way. But New York City says these things are illegal, and if you get caught riding one on a street in New York City, you could get a $200 ticket.
Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York, in my humble opinion, leaves a lot to be desired for being the sharpest knife in the drawer. And I'm sure that he's probably the kingpin on this nanny state idea. What is wrong with these things if it's going to help people that maybe are going to have to go a long distance in a very congested area?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it just doesn't quite fit because it's such a new product, a new thing. It doesn't fit into any of the existing boxes that the city has created for regulating and licensing things like this. So the city basically says that that they're illegal to use because any sort of electric motorized scooter has to be registered with the city, and you have to get like a registered little mini license plate for it, basically. And that these can't be licensed in that way, so therefore they just have to be illegal. There's a bit of gray area because there's another part of the city code that seems to suggest that any sort of motorized scooter that doesn't go over 15 miles an hour is illegal. So, at this point, the city isn't even really sure exactly what its own codes say and how its own codes apply to these hoverboard devices. But, look, these things are flying off the shelf. One store in New York has sold more than 3,000 of them in just a few weeks. Macy's big flagship department store there right in downtown Manhattan has dedicated, they've got something like 20 square feet of shelf space for these things. So people are buying them, people are using them. The city might not like it, but that's not going to stop them.
Well, assuming that you still have not broken either arm or either leg, have you tried one of these things?
No, I have not personally ridden one of them. I've seen some video clips. I don't think I've ever actually seen somebody actually using one in person. At least not that I noticed or not that I remember. But yeah, I think I'd be worried about breaking an arm or a leg. I was never very good at skateboarding even as a kid, so this looks like a step up from that. I don't know that I'm going to be climbing on one anytime soon. But I think it's just, it's an example. The New York City example is just something that we try to, highlight every week at watchdog.org with our Nancy State of the Week series, where we pick out a different jurisdiction every week that's just, in some small way telling people, making decisions, for somebody on their behalf. In this case, it's, New York City basically saying that you can't choose to ride down the street on a hoverboard, even though you could choose to rollerblade or skateboard or ride a bike or whatever else you might choose to do.
Eric, this story brought up a lot of thinking on my part, and at first I looked at it as kind of a humorous story, but then I got to thinking about it from the standpoint of where I come from. I am on crutches. I've got two badly smashed up legs, and innovation like this, I'm not saying that I could possibly use one of these without having some kind of hand support, but when you look at the innovative idea of this hoverboard and how it might be applicable to somebody that's on crutches and might have to walk a long distance, there might be a derivation of this item that could help and assist them.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and I think, government regulation and licensing, that's one of the things that it does. It's always intended to serve some sort of good purpose, right? But, I don't know what the good purpose is in this case, but, the negative consequences are always there. It stifles innovation in some way. It prevents people from, just being able to do what they might otherwise choose to do. On a serious note, too, I was thinking as I was writing the piece, my mother is disabled. She rides a scooter, an electric scooter, around the house, around when she goes out, everywhere. And, I guess that would also, in New York City, have to be licensed or registered with the city in some way. It gets to a point where people, government officials and bureaucrats are just trying to regulate, the details, the minutia of people's lives, and it's just not their business to be doing that. One member of the New York City Council, actually, I just thought this was humorous, so I have to include it. Andy King, he's a Democrat from the Bronx. He's actually put forth a bill to clear up some of the gray area about these hoverboards, and he wants to just ban them completely, ban them outright in the whole city. And his argument, he told the New York Post that he thinks they should be banned because people won't be walking or exercising if they're using hoverboards to get around from place to place. And that made me think, wait a minute, don't tell Councilman King that people are using cars and buses and subways and trains and airplanes and ferries and helicopters and all sorts of other methods of transportation every single day in New York City, because he apparently thinks people are walking everywhere.
Eric, when you do these studies for watchdog.org, and we've got just a few minutes left here, but can you give me some more examples of absolute idiocy and incompetency with leadership and basically a nanny state? Give me some other examples that you've read about and written of, if you would, please.
Yeah, sure. Anybody who's listening can check us out at watchdog.org and just head right at the top of the page. We've got our Nanny State of the Week button right there. You can check on that. We've kind of got, gone all over the country, actually, at this point in time. I think probably the most recent example of a really, really crazy ban is an effort that's ongoing right now in the San Francisco Bay Area by an air management control district, which is sort of like a layer of government that doesn't even exist in most places in this country. It only exists in California. But they're trying to ban fireplaces. They're trying to ban new homes from being built with fireplaces. They're trying to push limitations on when and how existing fireplaces can be used. So, there's nothing quite as nice on a cold winter night as cuddling up next to the fire. But that's, not the case if you live in San Francisco anymore. We've covered that. We've covered efforts in Florida to ban outdoor barbecues. We've covered, it literally, when we started doing this segment, I remember talking to my editor and pitching the idea of doing this once a week. And he told me, well, okay, how long do you think you'll be able to do it for? Do you think there'll be enough content, to make this last for a while? And I said, I don't know. We'll go until we run out, until it becomes too difficult to keep it going. And that was a year and a half ago. And I think every week I have 2 or 3 ideas that I have to reject because there's just too many of them.
Let me ask you this, Eric. In your studies around the United States as to the idiocy and incompetency of trying to create a nanny state, we can laugh at some of these stories, but then on the other hand, I'll bet you've sat back and said to yourself, oh my gosh, they're buying this hook, line, and sinker. I'll bet a lot of it is coming to fruition, is it not?
Yeah, it's a bit crazy. You see, we try to focus on, I think as conservatives, I think we try to, too often we put a lot of onus on the federal government. We try to blame everything on the federal government, right? And sure, the federal government does a lot of things that are bad. They regulate us to death a lot of times. But we try to put a focus in this nanny state segment on local governments, because I think local governments can be just as oppressive and just as ridiculous, and sometimes even more so. For example, one that I covered about a month ago, Montgomery County, Maryland, it's in the D.C. suburbs. They recently banned all forms of pesticides and different treatments that you might use for your lawn to keep your grass green, because they were worried about the environmental concerns of people spreading fertilizer on their lawn. But the county decided that they would still be allowed to use fertilizer on their county-owned parks and golf courses, which are obviously much larger than the average person's lawn.
Oh my.
And therefore, stopping individuals from using these products probably isn't going to make much of a dent in the environment when you're still spreading those same products all over the county parks and golf courses. So there's really just like a double standard that applies a lot of times. Government officials, as I call them in this segment, nannies, they think that what they do just doesn't matter, or what you do doesn't matter. It's they're the only ones who matter.
Let me ask you this final thought here, Eric. Even though stories like the hoverboards and stories like the pesticides and the fertilizers, are people becoming basically immune to doing anything or saying anything, or are more Americans becoming outraged like I am because of what the government's trying to tell them?
Yeah, I think it's more a question of accountability. I think it's more about highlighting these instances of government officials clearly overstepping their boundaries and what they're allowed to tell us to do or not to do. And so I don't know that it's so much about getting outraged. I think it's about just making people aware that these things are happening, and that like I said before, it's really local governments can oftentimes be just as oppressive as the federal government. So you don't hear about these types of things because the media is too busy covering Donald Trump and the presidential campaign. But at the end of the day, the president isn't going to be the one who decides whether you can put fertilizer on your lawn or whether you can ride a hoverboard down the street in New York City. That's ultimately going to be local officials and local decisions, and these things matter, as much or more than the things that we spend most of our time talking about in politics.
Absolutely. Eric Beam with the watchdog.org. Great story this morning, and thank you for being on the program. And from our studio to you, happy Thanksgiving, sir.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Very interesting story about the nanny state. You know what? I'm thinking about this. I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs and very inventive people listening on the program right now. And I've got a picture of one of these hoverboards, and I wonder why they couldn't be adjusted, why they couldn't be transformed, where a person like me, now with my broken knees and broken hip and long distances of walking, I used to walk a lot. Why something like this couldn't be transformed so that the balance factor was not so negotiable, and there were little handrails or something. I just wonder why it couldn't be transformed into basically helping a lot of people that maybe if they go to a large metropolitan area, whether it's New York City or whether it's L.A. or whatever, and they have long distances to walk, or whether it's at the county fair or whether it's at any event, if it could be used to utilize and aid and abet these people, so instead of staying home and not going to some of these events, they could enjoy the event like everybody else. I personally am going to check into this, and I'm going to try to get the manufacturer on the phone, hopefully this next week, and we'll discuss that. Let's get the weather forecast in here right now, and oh boy, it doesn't look so good outside. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, Scott Gano, tree trimming, pruning, removal of tree limbs, emergency work, and I'll tell you what, if you've got some trees that are kind of iffy and limbs that are kind of iffy, and now the winter's setting in, you'd better get it taken care of. They can do the job for you. Just call them at 438-2485 or 431-8733. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. Here now is Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are in a winter storm warning. It's in effect until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Now, snow is, of course, a factor for today. We could get anywhere from 1 to 8 inches of snow, just depending on where you're at in the Magic Valley. Going to be a little bit on the windy side as well. High of 33 for today. Tonight, low of 21. Tomorrow, morning snow showers, giving way to partly cloudy skies later on in the afternoon. Expect a high of 28 with an overnight low of 10. For Friday, sunny and 25 with an overnight low of 8. And then for the weekend, looks like partly cloudy skies. Highs are going to be in the mid-20s, lows in the single digits. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina, great job. Thank you so much. Brought to you this hour by Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. Scott Gano and his crew, the very best. You call them today at 438-2485 or 431-8733. Let's just talk to Wheels for a second. Wheels, you want to turn your mic on for a moment? Are you there, buddy?
I am.
Would you mind trying that special guest one more time?
Yeah, I can do that.
If you would, and then yell back at me if you get him on the phone, would you please?
Yes, sir.
All right, God bless you. Thanks. We're going to try to get a very special person on the air if we can reach him this time. I've got just a few minutes, and I'd like to extend to you and yours to give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hey, did you hear what's going on at Quality's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls? You do not have to wait for Black Friday. I don't like that terminology. You don't have to wait for Black Friday. No, get on into Quality's Electronics right now today. Why? Because they've already started all the savings. Yet, like a Samsung 40-inch LED for just $279. Can you believe that? And you can get smart Blu-ray players for just $49. Oh, you'd better get in there and check it out. Great people. I've known this family for a long time. Quality's Electronics at 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. The absolute best. You stop in and see them today. Let's check over with old Uncle Wheels. Did you get any success, my friend?
I'm going to right now.
All right, you go ahead and keep trying. And a special guest that I really wanted to get on my program today, being that tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and he's pretty special to this program and especially to the Lunch Bunch, and hopefully we can get him on the air in the next couple of minutes. Your calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting, I want to remind you, and please put this on your calendar. It's very important to me and my wife, Deanne. We are going to be celebrating an old-fashioned Merry Christmas at Denny's Restaurant on December 16th, and coming up in a matter of weeks. And it's going to be where I'll have my whole program over there live and direct at Denny's from 8 to 11. And there's going to be Christmas carolers. There's going to be specials on the menu. There's going to be door prizes. Santa Claus is going to be there. We're going to be collecting a lot of loot for the boot for needy families for Christmas time, so don't miss it. That is December the 16th, a Wednesday, Denny's Old Fashioned Merry Christmas at 611 Overland in Burley, and it's going to be a lot of fun. How about it, Wheels? Have we got him?
Give me one moment, sir.
All right, one quick moment. Trying to patch through and see if we can't get a special person on the air for the day before Thanksgiving. The day before we cut the bird. Great story about my neighbor Rocky Matthews and his turkeys on the front page of the paper. How about it, Wheels? What's cooking?
I just talked to one of the nurses, and unfortunately, they said that he is laying down.
Okay. Wheels, again, thank you for your help on that. What we were trying to do, for those of you that didn't know, we were trying to reach Russell Smith up at the VA hospital in Pocatello, and 3 times Purple Heart recipient, a hero for this country, and a hero to me. This man means so much to my program and the Lunch Bunch and everything. He's been so supportive, and he's at the Pocatello VA, and I just thought we'd call him, and all of us could wish him a very happy Thanksgiving. And it looks like we're having trouble getting through with some of the nursing officials up there, but again, our thoughts and prayers are with Russell Smith, and we'll try to get him next week. All right, your turn. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. We'll talk about any subject matter that you want, and for the remainder of this hour. Come on, give me a jingle on the landline. And here's something that just boggles my mind. I was reading this from my friends at the Daily Caller back in Washington, D.C., They've got reports right now on a guy by the name of Mizanur Rahman, a 32-year-old radical preacher of Islam. And they know, after investigating this guy, that he lives right out in the open in London, and he is advocating through his mosque and through his writings and through his meetings a global caliphate. In other words, global warfare for Islam. And he's right out in the open. And nobody is doing anything about this guy. It just blows my mind as to the people and the circumstances. There's one over in London. And we've got 83 mosques here in the United States that are under investigation. And yet, if we say something about worries and fears and concerns, we're called the hate mongers and the bigots. This is nuts. Give me a call about your thoughts. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow, one of my very favorite times of the entire year. I really miss the old days, Thanksgiving at home. Oh my goodness, my mother would make a kind of a fruit salad, and it would have nuts and all kinds of different things. Oh, I love that. That was one of my favorites. And then, of course, for dessert, after all the turkey and the trimmings and the stuffings and everything, and the mashed potatoes and all the gravy, great big piece of pecan pie. Oh, doesn't get any better than that. What is your favorite part of Thanksgiving dinner? Tell us, please. Give us a call. Let me kind of savor it. Let me kind of tantalize over it. Let me hear what your thoughts are about your very favorite part of Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow. Maybe it's the family. Maybe it's the football games. Yeah. Or maybe it's the meal itself. What's your very favorite part of Thanksgiving? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. How are you this morning?
Well, if it isn't my favorite person over on the north side, how are you?
I am doing good. Zeb, this is the time of year that we need to be thankful for what we have and for what we want. And I want to send out a special thank you to a lot of your sponsors who sponsored my programs, things I've done, and thankful for you to have your support. And I'm just blessed to have all the people in my life.
Oh, George. I'm going to tell everybody who's talking. It's George Mass, the head of the POWMIA, and everything he does is first class. And he and his lovely wife, Donna, great friends to this program. And right back at you, George. God bless you and your wife. And I hope that you have a very wonderful day tomorrow on Thanksgiving. But I want to remind you that don't overeat.
No, we're going to go over to Rupert Elks tomorrow for dinner, so that's where we're going to spend it, and it's a good place to go.
All right. God bless you, my friend, and I will call you after the program, okay?
Okay, sir.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do for everybody.
George, thank you so much. That's very kind. Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow, Thursday, normally we have Starving to Death on Thursdays, but today, being the last day of our work week, we're going to tantalize you with some great places to go and eat if you're hungry and starving to death. And how about Taco Bandito? 2301 Overland and Burley. Winter is here, and Taco Bandito has a bacon with jalapeno in it. Spicy and delicious. I got to try that. Oh, that sounds good. And they got a steak breakfast burrito. Oh, yummy. All of this and much, much more at Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. How about we move over to Steve-O's at 290 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Food made the way you love it. Oh, my goodness sakes, they've got a great kids menu, and they've got Steve-O's nacho fries topped with cheese and jalapeno peppers. And I love this one, the pork chops with salad and choice of potatoes. Oh, my. And buffalo burgers, too, at Steve-O's, 290 South, 600 West of Hayburn. And moving on over now to two locations of burgers, etc. 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 Overland and Burley. Eggnog milkshakes starting this Friday the 27th. Oh, hold on. They are good. And all the delicious burgers. And every Sunday a shrimp dinner special at the Burley store. Remember, burgers, etc. Great people. 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 Overland in Burley. And last but not least, I'm drooling. Of all the great places to go if you're hungry and starving to death, don't forget the AC Drive-In at 601 East Main in Burley. Mint milkshakes. Oh, just right for the holiday season. And a chicken fried steak sandwich. Knock your boots off delicious. Along with all the famous Farmer Brown burgers and the ranch burgers and the fries and the fry sauce. Oh, it's fantabulous. At the AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. And those are just a few great places to go if you're hungry and starving to death. Whew. Next hour, we're going to be talking to Jason Hart with Watchdog.org about the SEIU and unions and thuggery over some teachers. We're going to talk about that. And then at 10:32 this morning, I've asked Pastor Roger Settlemeyer to come on my program via the telephone, and we're going to talk about thanks and Thanksgiving. A lot of things coming up. Zeb at the Ranch, back over to Wheels at our main studio. I'll be back in 6. Oh, here we go. You bet you thought I wasn't here, but I was. I was asking Deanna a question. Welcome back to Zeb at the Ranch, and I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations really working overtime to serve you, I'll bet, right now today. And also some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call, get on the route service today, 734-6969. Hey, how about the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Today's special, by the way, they're going to be closed on Thanksgiving. Today's special, spaghetti and meatballs served with garlic toast and super salsa salad. Boy, that sounds good. Spaghetti and meatballs today at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. You are going to love the food and the people and the environment. Just really great at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 109 West Main in Burley. You know, by the way, too, there's a lot of big happenings going on Friday night for the tree lighting on the Rupert Square, and the bookstore and office supply have a great big special for you. They're going to have hot chocolate and treats for sale that night, and they're going to have 20% off on Ashman scented beanie melts, 40% off on essential oil holders, and 35% off on home decor items. Oh, my goodness. All of this and more at the bookstore and office supply on the square in Rupert, 515 5th Street in Rupert. Stop over and see them. Let's go to the phone lines right now, and I've been looking forward to this interview all morning long because it kind of dovetails into what we were talking to Dave Bego about earlier in Indianapolis, Indiana, with the thuggery of unions, especially the SEIU. Good morning to Jason Hart with Watchdog.org. How are you, Jason?
I'm doing well, thanks.
You know, earlier this morning we had another one of your cohorts by the name of Eric Beam on my program, and I'm blessed to have you on the day before Thanksgiving talking to us a little bit about a story about how certain teachers are trying to fight the unions and the union bosses are coming after them. Give us the background of this story, would you please?
Sure. Well, the case in question here is actually a case that's currently before the U.S. Supreme Court. It's called Friedrichs versus California Teachers Association, or Friedrichs versus CTA for short. The Friedrichs in question here is a woman by the name of Rebecca Friedrichs. She is a teacher. There are 9 other teachers who are also plaintiffs in this case, and these 10 California teachers are essentially arguing that because public sector union activity is all inherently political, public sector union bargaining affects government workers, government services, taxpayer money. These teachers don't think they should be required as a condition of employment to pay public sector unions like the National Education Association or the American Federation of Teachers. Understandably, the NEA and the AFT are not pleased about this. They would like to maintain their flow of mandatory dues if at all possible, and the fact that this case is being heard before the Supreme Court means it could have implications not just in California, but in dozens of other states that don't have right-to-work laws, states where public sector workers, teachers, and other government employees can be required to pay a labor union in order to have a job.
You know, let me ask you this, and I hope you'll pardon me, if you will, Jason, because I'm going to ask some very naive questions. But how did it come to fruition to be in the first place to where it was forced upon anybody, especially these teachers, that in order to work they had to pay a union due? Who really perpetrated that idea?
Well, it's based on private sector union law dating back to, I believe, the 1930s. Essentially, unions want what's called exclusive representation rights. That means if a majority of workers in any specific bargaining unit, any work of employers like teachers in a school district or cashiers at some store, vote in favor of the union, even if only 51% of those workers vote for it, all 100% of the workers are represented under the union contract. And that exclusive bargaining gives unions the ability to argue with some degree of merit that because all of those employees are represented by the union should be paid by all of those employees, even if they don't want to join. And so that's what causes fair share fees for unions that have to be paid by all workers in a bargaining unit and non-right-to-work states in the private sector. And, of course, the public sector is based on that same law. Not all states, even states without right to work, don't necessarily allow these government union bosses to take mandatory fees from non-members, but a number of states do. California is one of those states. Other large states, including Illinois, here in Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania, take mandatory fees from not just hundreds or thousands, but hundreds of thousands of teachers whose only choice is to find another job. And if you work in a field like education, finding a job where you're not required to pay a union often could mean moving to a different state.
Yeah. Now, Jason, let me ask you this. Again, I'm going to simplify this a little bit, but to me, the coercion and the forcing of someone to pay union dues to a union that they don't either want to belong to or respect, the unions have changed. The complexion and the personality today, unions are different than what they were 30, 40 years ago, and they're more politically motivated, and I don't blame this woman and her cohorts for wanting to fight paying union dues. The unions have changed to where there are a lot of thuggery going on, more so than ever before, on political basis. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think you could find, if you looked back 60 or 70 years, labor union bosses who would agree with that. A man by the name of George Meany, I believe, was the president of either the American Federation of Labor or of the AFL-CIO after those big union coalitions merged decades ago, argued that public sector collective bargaining was materially different than collective bargaining in the private sector, because in the public sector, the boss isn't some CEO who's watching his bottom line and trying to keep shareholders happy. The boss is the taxpayer. So there's a huge difference between private sector and public sector unions, and I think that's especially important to keep in mind in the context of this case, because it's central to the argument that Rebecca Friedrichs and the other plaintiffs here are making. And what I think is really fascinating is that these teachers argue it's a violation of their First Amendment rights to be required to pay these inherently political organizations. It's basically forcing them to fund political speech, political activism. The unions, rather than arguing that they aren't violating the First Amendment rights of these teachers, essentially say they're violating the First Amendment rights, but only a little bit, and it's really not that big of a concern because we have to think about prioritizing safety and labor peace in the workplace. And when we're talking about public sector workers, it's just, I think, more than a little silly for labor unions to suggest that taxpayers want government workplaces, want their school places, want their schools and offices and all of these other public employees to be unsafe. But that's what the labor bosses say, and they're really pushing this message, not just in court briefs in the Supreme Court Friedrichs versus CTA case, but in a big public PR blitz that is essentially smearing Rebecca Friedrichs and these other teachers who are only trying to gain the right to opt out of paying a union. That's all they're trying to do. The unions are portraying these people basically as pawns of evil corporations and some shadowy special interests that are trying to destroy all labor unions. It's pretty crazy.
Well, let me ask you, you brought that up about evil people. I noticed that the labor unions, and whether it's the NEA, AFT, AFL-CIO, or the SEIU, I'm very familiar with the tactics of the SEIU because of a very dear friend of mine back in Indianapolis, Indiana, and the problems he had with them. But they've also brought into this fray Charles and David Koch. Tell us a little bit about how they got brought into this.
Well, essentially, they're brought into any and every issue that the labor unions want to paint the opposition as villains. The Koch brothers are sort of the all-purpose boogeymen if you're talking about any sort of labor reform, anything that would empower taxpayers or private sector workers or government employees and give them more freedom at the expense of the power of a union boss. The union bosses will invariably say is the work of the Koch brothers. I actually spoke with someone at the Center for Individual Rights, which is the nonprofit that's providing legal representation to the plaintiffs in the Friedrichs versus CTA case, and he explained that the Koch brothers are not funding CIR. The Koch brothers are not funding the case that's currently before the Supreme Court. But if you look at the messaging that's being pushed by the labor unions, by America Works Together, which is a big coalition of all the public sector unions, they insist not just that the Koch brothers are involved, but they're pulling all of the strings for the Supreme Court case behind the scenes, because they're well-known donors. If you follow politics, they support libertarian causes and issues, and the unions have really sought to make them sort of these demons who are against workers and against the middle class. And so anytime you see some kind of a policy being advocated that the unions don't like, regardless of who's actually behind it, regardless of the facts of the case, the Koch brothers are always pulled out as kind of this all-purpose, scary, evil billionaires.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this, Jason, and correct me if I'm wrong, but 25 of our 50 United States are right-to-work states. Would you give us kind of a thumbnail sketch in case some in my audience aren't aware of it or how it works? What does it mean to be a right-to-work state? What are the basics there?
Sure. Well, in a right-to-work state, unions cannot take fair share fees. They're also sometimes referred to as agency fees. But what it boils down to is the unions can't take mandatory fees from non-members in a state with a right-to-work law. Now, the unions, anytime a new state talks about the possibility of adopting right-to-work, two of Ohio's neighbors are actually currently discussing it. West Virginia and Kentucky are very seriously considering becoming right-to-work states. The unions will talk about how right-to-work takes away workers' rights, it silences workers' voices, it reduces pay, it reduces safety, it leads to more workplace fatalities. And all of these arguments are really ridiculous when you come back to the simple truth that right-to-work lets workers choose whether or not to pay a union. That's all it does. That's not one of 3 or 10 or 100 features of a right-to-work law. It really is very simple, and I think that's why we've seen some momentum towards right-to-work nationally. Of course, you've mentioned Indiana. Indiana adopted a right-to-work law at the beginning of 2012. Michigan became a right-to-work state at the end of 2012, and then Wisconsin, of course, passed right-to-work not too long after. So the unions have been making the same arguments for years and years now, and as we see, organizations like SEIU are increasingly weighted towards the public sector. I think there's a general understanding among the public, and I think an increasing understanding among voters and taxpayers, that public sector unions work against taxpayers. They work to make government bigger. They work to make government cost more. And even if people are supportive of government employees and teachers being members of labor unions, very few people, when it's explained to them honestly, are supportive of requiring those workers to pay a labor union in order to have a job.
Jason, would you, with your expertise and your studying of this issue, would you say that labor unions are on their last swan song? They're kind of a dying breed. They're on their last gasp. What is the status of labor unions in this country?
Well, if you look at the raw numbers, in 2014, labor unions actually gained some members, but as the economy grew slightly, they didn't gain enough members to keep up with the overall growth of the national economy. So the percentage of workers in America who are members of labor unions continues to decline, and a growing number of union members, if you look at the overall number, are in the public sector. So even though the public sector is a minority of all of the nation's workforce, a vast number of the union members are government employees. And the reason for that is simple. If you increase the cost of labor to the point where a private sector business can't compete, eventually that company, that employer is going to go out of business, and those union jobs are going to be gone. Whereas in the public sector, if you increase the cost of labor, you can just increase taxes on taxpayers. You can cut services somewhere else to pay for those labor costs. And ultimately, it really takes away the natural market mechanism that prevents unions from getting completely out of control and asking for, often cases, demanding too much from their employers, because the employer is the government, and the government can always turn around and demand more tax money of the taxpayers.
Given the complexion of this Supreme Court as it is now, what are your thoughts on how the ruling may or may not go? What do you think? Speculate a little bit on that.
One thing that is a little odd in this case, I think Justice Scalia is widely considered to be a swing vote here because of the kind of the intricacies of the First Amendment arguments and the fact that unions are oftentimes providing representation for workers, and unions argue that the workers have to pay or it's unfair if they don't. So I think that a lot of people believe Justice Scalia could go either way on this case, and depending on how he rules, it could either have no impact, we could stick with the status quo, and public workers could be required to pay unions still in all of the states that don't have right-to-work laws. Or ultimately, if the justices side with the plaintiffs, they could offer some kind of a narrow ruling that somehow only applies to teachers and only applies in California, theoretically, but I think it's more likely because of the way that government unions work across the country that if the plaintiffs win in this case, it could free hundreds of thousands of workers from the requirement to pay a union as a condition of employment. And those union dues, we're not talking 20 or 50 bucks a year. Oftentimes, the required fees that non-members might have to pay a union like SEIU or NEA or AFT are hundreds of dollars per year. So it could have a significant impact on a lot of government employees who just pay a union because they have to, and if they could opt out, they would opt out. We'll see a ruling in that case. I think the expectation is near the end of the Supreme Court term, so probably sometime in mid to late June.
What about, last question on this, Jason, what about the teachers themselves? I mean, their lives have been pure hell, and they've been vilified, they've been demonized, etc. What about their careers in education? I mean, are they basically a done deal, fried bread, burnt toast? I mean, or they can go on and after this is all over, hopefully extend their careers? What about them? What's happened to them?
You know, I really couldn't say one way or another, but I would assume that going into this, all of the teachers, came into the case with their eyes wide open, knowing that the labor unions would really attack them. I know that anytime you talk to a friend or a family member who is a teacher, speaking out against the teachers' unions locally can often be, dangerous to your career and can have a detrimental effect on your friendships in the workplace if your local union really makes you out to be some sort of a monster. So that, I think, is ultimately what we're seeing here, just on a much grander scale. So whether all of these teachers plan to continue teaching regardless of the outcome of the case is really probably a question for each of them, if you can track them down. All right.
I want to say how much I've enjoyed having you on the air this morning. Jason Hart with Watchdog.org, and had a very interesting piece about union bosses trying to smear teachers. And thank you very much for being on the program. And from our studio to you, happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. The thuggery and the pugnacious attitude of unions, especially Richard Trumka and the rest of them, I hope they get a good poke in the nose. I hope they lose. I've just been handed a note, and Deanne, is this over at the Rupert Elks? Okay, Thanksgiving dinner is going to be at the Rupert Elks from 11 to 4 tomorrow on Thanksgiving, and it's a free will offering. Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow at the Rupert Elks from 11 to 4, and a free will offering for Thanksgiving Day. And I can tell you this much, they're going to have a good plate of food for everybody. They always do. Okay, let's pay some bills here real quick. Don't forget, Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Yes, sirree, whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will always enjoy the comfort. Call 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric can save you money on Lennox. Give them a call today. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Really good folks. Oh, my, let's see. What have we got coming up? Next hour, we are going to spend some time with Pastor Roger Settlemyer from Emmanuel Lutheran Church in Twin Falls, and we're going to be talking about Thanksgiving. And one of the questions I've got is the holiday of Thanksgiving and or Christmas and other holidays, are they being diminished in this country with a lack of caring and a lack of sharing and a lack of people really paying attention to the holidays? We're going to find out about what his thoughts are. And then see, we got the weather forecast coming up next hour. We got all kinds of goodies. And I've still got time for one more quick phone call. If you want to get on the air and give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Again, I want to stress the fact that Thomas and Terry, the whole crew over at Denny's Old-Fashioned Merry Christmas. I am really looking forward to this, and I want to say thanks to Jerry Thaxton over at our main studios for helping me get the equipment lined up and everything. We're going to be there on Wednesday, December 16th, so put that on your calendar, and we're going to be broadcasting live and direct from Denny's at 611 Overland in Burley from 8 in the morning until 11, and we're going to do the whole program over there. And it's a Denny's Old-Fashioned Christmas. We're going to have right in the restaurant, we're going to have Christmas carolers. We're going to have Ken Mort over there with his sound system. He's going to be singing Christmas carols, and we're going to have special door prizes and discounts on the menu. Santa Claus is going to be there, and we're also going to have the Loot in the Boot. And what that is we gather money for the charity for needy families at Christmas time. So don't miss it. It's coming up on December 16th, a Wednesday morning, Denny's Old-Fashioned Merry Christmas at 611 Overland in Burley. Right now, let's send it back over to our main studios. I'll be back with Pastor Roger Settlemyer in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KVAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to our last 30 minutes before Thanksgiving on this program, Zeb at the Ranch. And the snow is still falling out there. Be careful on the roadways. I am very blessed to have with us on the program for this half hour Pastor Roger Settlemyer of Emmanuel Lutheran Church in Twin Falls, and let's see if he's on the line. Good morning, Pastor. How are you?
Good, Zeb. How are you doing?
I'm great. What's the snow doing in Twin Falls? Do you have any on the ground?
Oh, yeah. Snow is coming down, and everything is white, and looks really good for a Thanksgiving celebration.
You know, Pastor, we talk about Thanksgiving celebrations and we talk about the celebration of Christmas, etc. As a pastor and organized religion, are you seeing a decline in people that are really getting involved in the holidays of Thanksgiving and Christmas?
Yeah, I have seen that. In fact, the other day I saw a commercial that was changing the day of Thanksgiving to Thanksgetting, and I do think that we're losing some of that respect and honor for days like Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Why is this happening? We pick up the newspapers, and I don't care if it's the Wall Street Journal or USA Today or whatever. They seem to be downplaying Christianity, and they seem to say that Christianity is on a downswing and more people are turning away from the church. Why, if this is happening, why is it happening?
Well, I think it's just it's the nature of the sinful heart, Zeb. The sinful heart is turned in on itself, and the sinful heart that dwells in all of us wants nothing to do with God. We want to be in control. We want to be in charge, and to give thanks is to acknowledge that we aren't in control and we aren't in charge, and someone else is, and that other one is our Father in heaven.
I really appreciate that answer, but let me also ask you this. You know, the polls and the stories, again, going back to the journalistic viewpoint of this, they say that the churches are becoming old and there's not any youth that are really getting involved in great numbers. What can we do to stimulate that younger generation and the millennials to come back to the churches?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that, Zeb, because I had chapel this morning for the children at our school, and I had over 200 children in chapel this morning.
Wow.
And together we all sang, "Now thank we all our God with heart and hands and voices, who wondrous things has done, in whom his world rejoices." And so I think, here at Emmanuel, Christian education is so very important. And when we have a Christian school like we have here and the opportunity to sing God's praises and to give him thanks, I think that trains the young generation up in the way that they should go, and trains them up in what God has done for us. And I think that's the key everywhere, is we've maybe just become lax at training our children and teaching them why we do what we do and how to give thanks. And maybe it's because we're so prosperous as a nation. We are rich beyond compare.
Everybody always seems to, I'm not saying this in general, but it seems to me there's always a finger pointing. If something's not going right in the church or the congregate members are lessening, they always point the finger at the pastor. But really, it's everybody's responsibility to try to help the church grow, is it not?
It is. Yes, it's our shared responsibility together. Jesus has said, "Go and make disciples of all nations."
When you talk about Thanksgiving, you as a pastor and also you as a family man, in this day and age where we have so many threats of violence against us with ISIS and other terror groups, the economy is a looming, very big hazard for all of us. Really, break down, we still have a lot to be thankful for, don't we?
Oh, we do. There is so much to be thankful for. In fact, when Martin Luther was talking about the fourth petition of the Lord's Prayer, "Give us this day our daily bread," Martin Luther wrote this, Deb, and I thought I'd share it with you. Luther said, "Daily bread includes everything that has to do with the support and needs of the body, such as food, drink, clothing, shoes, house, home, land, animals, money, goods, a devout husband or wife, devout children, devout workers, devout and faithful rulers, good government, good weather, peace, health, self-control, good reputation, good friends, faithful neighbors, and the like." That's what's included in daily bread, and we have all of those things, Zeb, and God continues to be good to us.
Tomorrow when people sit down at the table, naturally the tendency is, "Hey, throw me a biscuit or grab a turkey leg for me." But if they just take a few minutes of meditation, and it wouldn't take long, the turkey won't get cold, and just say thanks, because, boy, there's so much that we've been blessed with.
Yes, yeah, you're right. Abraham Lincoln, when he made his proclamation for a day of national Thanksgiving, in that proclamation, he said, "We are prone to forget the source from which these blessings come." And how true that is. And if we would just take a moment to give thanks to God for all of the blessings that he has poured out upon us.
Amen. Pastor Roger Settlemeyer, Emmanuel Lutheran Church, very nice gentleman, and also I hold him in high regard because he's a Chicago Cubs fan.
Yeah, we didn't get it done this year, Zeb.
Yeah, but we've got that slogan memorized, and it goes, "Wait till next year."
We've been waiting 107 years.
And I'm getting old, man. I don't know about you, but I'm telling them to hurry up.
Yeah, me too.
Listen, to my family, to your family, God bless you and happy Thanksgiving. We appreciate you coming on the program this morning.
Thanks, Zeb, and happy Thanksgiving to you and to all of your listeners today.
God bless you. Thank you so much. Very, very nice man. You betcha. The pastor of Emmanuel Lutheran Church in Twin Falls, Pastor Roger Settlemeyer, and thoughts about Thanksgiving for this morning. Now I'd kind of like to turn it over to you. You know, we do have a lot to be thankful for. And every year, what we've done for a few minutes on this program is open the phone lines up, and you can call and say what you're thankful of. It might be a family member. It might be something that's going on in your life. It might be your job. Whatever it is, why don't you just take the time to vocalize it? Give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Now, hurry up and call. We'll take about 20 minutes here, and we'll turn it over to you to say what you're thankful for this Thanksgiving. And while I'm waiting for your call, I think what I'll do is the weather forecast real quick. And the weather is brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. They're your hometown meat cutter, and they have been for over 20 years, and they guarantee everything that they sell at Scarrows Meats. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are in a winter storm warning. It's in effect until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Now, snow is, of course, a factor for today. We could get anywhere from 1 to 8 inches of snow, just depending on where you're at in the Magic Valley. Going to be a little bit on the windy side as well. High of 33 for today. Tonight, low of 21. Tomorrow, morning snow showers, giving way to partly cloudy skies later on in the afternoon. Expect a high of 28 with an overnight low of 10. For Friday, sunny and 25 with an overnight low of 8. And then for the weekend, looks like partly cloudy skies. Highs are going to be in the mid-20s, lows in the single digits. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, my goodness, it's going to get chilly. Good morning to everybody, and the weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, with Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew. They are changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. You know, come on, give me a call and let me know what you're thankful for at this Thanksgiving time. You know, it sounds a little corny sometimes and it sounds a little redundant, but, you know, I'm so thankful for one person in my life, and that's my lovely bride, Deanne, and all that she does to help this business, this company, and this broadcast. I thank her from the bottom of my heart, and I couldn't do it without her, nor would I want to try. And I'm also very thankful for Wheels over at the station. This young man came to us. Wheels, how long have you been on this program now? What, about 6-7 months?
Yeah, about that, almost 8.
Okay, well, you answer the phone and I'll brag on you, okay? All right, he's answering the phone.
Sounds good, sir.
Wheels has done an outstanding job over there at the station, learning how to run the program and everything, and we're very thankful for him. So we want to extend to him the very best of Thanksgiving wishes. Is that call from me, Wheels? Yes, it is. Good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Good morning.
I'm thankful for my dad and my dad, Riley Holmes.
That is so nice. Now, are you living in Burley?
What?
Are you in Burley?
No.
Where do you live?
I live near out by Oakland.
Well, I want to tell you how nice that is. So you're very thankful of your dad, right?
Uh-huh. And my old grandpa Colton.
Well, thank you for your call. God bless you, and I hope that you have a wonderful dinner tomorrow. What's your favorite part of Thanksgiving dinner?
Turkey.
That's the way I like to hear it. You have the great big drumstick, and I'll think of you tomorrow, okay? Have a great day, and God bless you. Thank you for your call. You know, that is something that really builds up tears in my eyes, is when young people, children call and they say, I'm so thankful for my parents, or I'm so thankful for my brothers and sisters. That means so much. And that was really nice of that young person to call. Thank you and happy Thanksgiving. How about the rest of you? Give me a call. What are you thankful for on this Thanksgiving? Myself personally, over and above what I just said a minute ago, my lovely wife, I am so thankful for the many, many years that I've had this opportunity to do this program and do it from my home. Kim Lee, when we first talked about doing this show back 16, 17 years ago, I told him that I'd really like to do it on a remote-type broadcast from my home, and he helped me develop the equipment that we would need and how to set it up and how to structure the program as far as equipment is concerned for the show. And it's been just such an asset for me, my business, and I think we've been a service to the community. We hope so. And for all the listeners and the friends, and when I say that, I talk about the Lunch Bunch. I get pretty emotional when I talk about our lunch bunch because it grew from about a half a dozen people years ago when we first started it at McDonald's in Burley. About 6 people, 7 people, and then all of a sudden it started to expand and grow and get bigger and more people in attendance. And then, of course, we moved over to JB's, and we were there for quite a few years, and the numbers again grew and started expanding. We couldn't get everybody in. And now we're over at Denny's Restaurant at 611 Overland in Burley, and we're looking at maybe on some occasions, some months, close to 80 or even maybe close to 100 people. And it's just turned into a wonderful group where everybody knows each other, and God bless all of them. And I hope all of them have a very happy Thanksgiving. Your turn. Come on, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Can't do the program without you, so give me a jingle and let me know what your thoughts are as we're approaching Thanksgiving tomorrow. One thing I want to remind you, though, is if you're going anywhere, be careful. Use a lot of common sense and awareness. Be very cognizant of your environment around you. If you're flying, be really careful. Make sure you are aware of the circumstances at various airports. Give yourself plenty of time to go through the TSA. Give yourself plenty of time to get to the airport because of the conditions. Just be careful, okay? Give us a call right now and let us know your thoughts. Excuse me. While I'm waiting for your call, I also want to remind you about traction tires at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, they've got them all for you over there at your Les Schwab Tire Centers. I'm looking at pictures of all the different tread designs, all the different tires, all the studded tires, all the tire chains, all the snow wheels, everything for your safe driving on not so good conditions with all the snow, the ice, and the slush. Well, caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. I want to remind you they've got all your tires along with the best in brake service, the best in front end alignment, shocks and struts, and the best in batteries at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We're wishing you a very happy Thanksgiving. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Zeb, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Well, that is awfully...
Part of the Thanksgiving day is the meaning of the day itself.
Absolutely. You know, what's your
second of the meal?
What's your favorite part of Thanksgiving? Not just the meal, but the actual being a part of Thanksgiving. What's your favorite?
Well, it used to be I had a day off, but nowadays I work on most holidays, and like I say, the meal is wonderful. The getting together with the family is wonderful. And just being thankful for everything that we have in this country.
You know, let me ask you this. I'm probably a little older than you are, but one of the thoughts that comes to mind on Thanksgiving, and it's a little nostalgic thought, is that it's too bad when we're younger we don't really appreciate the family and the family times, because once they're gone, boy, you look back with some fond memories that you could bring them back again, don't you?
Yeah, sometimes you do.
Well, I certainly appreciate your call, and the very best of everything on Thanksgiving for you. And thanks for all your calls to us. Appreciate it.
Yes, and you too, Zeb, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I look back and remember the family all getting together on Thanksgiving. One person, and she was a kook. And I mean that with all respect. I just thoroughly enjoyed her every holiday. My Aunt Millie. No kidding. I had an Aunt Millie. And she had a sense of humor that could get anybody in the room laughing in about 30 seconds. And she would come to the Thanksgiving and the Christmas dinners and everything, and just absolutely, no matter what she said, it came out in a humorous vein. And of all the people, all the relatives, all the grandpas and grandmas and the aunts and uncles, I remember her most and foremost at Thanksgiving. She had the most unique laugh. She had the most unique take on what things were going on politically or in the world. She knew sports, let me tell you. My Aunt Millie knew all about the Green Bay Packers, and she knew who was running for this much yardage and how many yards at that time Bart Starr had passed for. She knew everything like that stuff. But she was the most entertaining person I've ever been around in my life, and I think of all the Thanksgivings, I really miss my Aunt Millie. She was a godsend. How about you? Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Once again, we were handed a note, and I know there's a lot of places that are going to be helping out tomorrow, serving Thanksgiving dinners. But this was given to us on behalf of the Rupert Elks. They'll be serving dinner at the Elks over there from 11 to 4 tomorrow. And it is for a free will offering. So be sure if you aren't having dinner with the family, there is a place to go, and there'll be a lot of people that you can visit with, too. Wheels, what are you going to do on Thanksgiving? Where are you going to go? You always start things by saying,
Actually, I'm...
here we go again.
Okay. You're going to make it to where I can't even talk.
No, are you going to get together with your folks?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good.
It's gonna be quite the family reunion, and there's the word again.
I'm going to make you very aware of that. Okay.
Yes, that's what I plan on doing. I plan on having some quality time, and like you said, when you're younger, you don't really take in the quality time, and now that I'm getting older, I just want to sit back and be able to hang out with the family instead of thinking I need to go hang out with my friends on Thanksgiving.
There you go.
Do something like that. So I'm gonna take in the time and just hang out with the family. What about you?
Those are times that you can never replace. And I don't know what you're going to have for dinner. Are you going to have the customary dinner of the turkey and all the stuffing and everything?
Yep, pretty much 100% traditional.
All right, well, you answer that phone and enjoy your dinner tomorrow with your family. It sounds good to me.
You too.
All right, buddy. We got another call coming in. We'll take that right now and find out what their thoughts are on Thanksgiving. Good morning. You're on the air. Good morning.
I'm thankful for people like you guys. I really appreciate all you do and getting the real facts, the true facts, and taking the time to research the facts before you put it on the air. It really makes a difference to know that when I'm hearing something, it's not whitewashed or one-sided. It's the way it is.
I got to tell you something, Riley. I appreciate that comment, and Lord knows, and I mean this, that I have thought about the hazards and perils of getting up every morning at 3:45 in the morning and starting research for a program. I'm an old man, and 3:45 in the morning is ridiculous, but you know what? I think it's worth all the effort.
Well, and I'm thankful for it. I really appreciated it. You go just about anywhere else, and it's one-sided. It's not like you're talking about earlier. When I talked to you earlier, the media nowadays is they tell you what they want you to hear, and that's what you get. You don't hear both sides. I remember when I was younger growing up, you would hear the positive or the negative and the left and the right and, and the downs of it. Now it's all just the one-sided and mostly negative.
Well, I certainly appreciate that. This program is always going to be dedicated to giving an honest appraisal of what's going on. I'm not going to jade or shade anything, and no speculation. And Riley, you've been a good listener for a long, long time. Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
You too, sir. Bye.
All right, God bless. That was nice. That's the one thing that we will not do on this program is we won't speculate. We won't say, well, I think this. I'm going to give you an opinion. I'm going to definitely give you my opinion, but it's going to be based on the facts of the story that we're studying. And that's the one thing that I'm so appreciative of. Deanna and I, we get up early in the morning, 3:45, and we go out and have a little breakfast, and I work out for a few minutes, so does she, and then we get right in here and start going through the various stories that we're going to carry on our program. What I do, just in case, I've had people ask me about this, I'll take about 3 or 4 prominent stories, and I'll try to get all the facts I can and look into these with the different think tanks that are on the East Coast, whether it's Washington, D.C. or New York, and I'll call them and ask them to send us as much pertinent information on these stories as far as facts are concerned, and then I'll write it up, make some bullet points, and then we'll talk about it in that first hour, that open forum. That's basically what we have done on this program now for the last 15, 16 years. And so everything that we put on the air is not just internet garbage. It's verified with various think tanks that have checked the news stories and verified those stories, and maybe they've even written about some of those stories, and then they are very gracious and help me with the information that I put on the air. Takes a lot of time. Usually we start here in the office about 4:30 in the morning, and right up until we sign on the program at 8:06, my lovely bride's on the computer, and we're making calls to people back east and everything to verify any news changes or whatever's going on. So we try to give you the best and most honest appraisal of the stories that are in the news today. Okay, now I'm going to wrap this up, and we're just going to say God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for all your kindnesses. Thank you for all your great remarks, and just thank you for being my audience. And, of course, I want to say thank you to all of our sponsors, all of our advertisers, and you've been listening to Zeb at the Ranch. Make sure you're hearing everything. Be sure and contact Mount Harrison Audiology for a hearing screening, and the number to call, 312-0957. The tagline for our program is, the way things were are the way things ought to be. Worship at your church this weekend. Thank God for your family, and we'll see you back here next Monday at 8:06. Wheels, happy Thanksgiving to you. Be safe, be sane. Have a great weekend.